Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of Moments with Mom and Dad, a very special episode that we have today. I have as our guest dear friends for many, many years, Reverend Carl and Linda Asbury. They are native Floridians. They're living in Florida now. But what we want to talk about today are life lessons from marriage. Carl and Linda have been married for nearly 61 years. That's about as long as I've been alive. And so it's because it's so rare to have an opportunity to speak with people that have been married so long, I thought this would just be a wonderful chance for you to hear some of the things that makes marriage work. So Carl and Linda, welcome.
Thank you
so much. We've been good friends for so long. And,
long time.
Yeah, long time. Over 40 years.
1980.
Yeah, absolutely. But Gail and I are so blessed to have you with us in our home today. And today we want to talk about marriage. Like I said, it's rare to find somebody who's been married as long as you have. And so my first question is, how have you made it work for over 60 years of marriage? How has that worked?
Mercy.
Yes, mercy and grace. We had been married a little over 21 years. We had moved to Tulsa for Carl to go to School of Helps at Faith Christian Fellowship. And we had 3 sons, all still living at home. And his dad was living with us also because his mom had passed away. So I was surrounded with men. Mm-hmm. And the kids had already gone off to school that morning, and Carl was walking out the door to go to church, to go to school. And I don't remember even now what the situation was, but I remember as he walked out, I said, "Lord, would you please do something here?" And the Lord spoke to me and he said, "Linda, you don't think like Carl thinks." I said, "I know, and I've tried for over 21 years. And he said, "No, you don't understand. He needs the way you think, and you need the way he thinks. And I'm a big enough God to take the 2 and make them one." Mm-hmm. And I went, "You mean I don't have to think like him?" Because I had been trying for so long, because all 5 of them were thinking different than I was thinking. Yeah. But on that basis of the fact he was big enough to take the 2 and make them one, he was telling me, for me, it was his responsibility to take the 2 and make them one. And so through the years, we have stood on that, prayed on that, cried on that, but in that process, we both realized if he needs the way I think, and I need the way he thinks, then the difference between the way we thought, there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah. I'm not battling him and he's not battling me. We've got to go to God with this situation we're not in agreement on, and know he is big enough. And sometimes that takes a little bit of time before the Lord, but he's never failed us yet.
Yeah. Over 60 years.
Over 60 years, and we still don't think alike.
No. But we've learned to let the Lord work. And sometimes the Lord will come up with a third answer that neither one of us have thought anything about. And
so even in this time of becoming one, which is what the Bible says marriage is supposed to be, 60 years, you are more one than you've ever been, yet you still think differently.
Yes, because I'm me and he's he.
Yeah. Carl, what kind of preparation did you guys have before you got married? You must have been quite young, right?
We were quite young.
Yeah.
In our teens.
In our teens. We were teenagers when we got married. I was 19.
I was 18.
And she was 18. She had just graduated from high school right before we got married. We had no real preparation, Bob. we just knew that we loved each other, okay, and that we wanted to be together. We've all both always been faithful. It's been what for her or what for me, and not thought about any. We never thought about ever having any other alternatives than being married. We never let, even before we knew the Lord intimately, we never let the thought of, is there somebody better?
Yeah.
Or we never thought about, shoulda we done it?
Yeah.
Or should we not have done it? We just never, I have never, I'm going to speak for myself, I don't know about her, but I'm speaking for myself, I've never thought about, should I or should I not have?
Sure.
One of the situations we came from, his mom and dad had both been married before they married and had him. My parents had had a rocky marriage because my dad was alcoholic at the time. And they wound up divorcing after we were married. And so both our families said, well, marrying that young, it's not going to work. There's no way it's going to work. And I guess we were both stubborn enough that whatever it takes, we're going to do that. And it took the Lord. And so I was already born again, he was not. But in that process of committing to one another, we had to commit to the Lord to get the help that we needed. Because we didn't have anybody showing us the right way.
Interesting.
It was a blank canvas except for divorce being there, And then, of course, when we had children, the commitment became even that much more strong.
So even along the way, did you identify a married couple that you thought like, wow, that's really neat how that's working for them? We could hold them up as a role model or something like that?
It wasn't really until we moved to Tulsa that we became acquainted with people that seemed to have the same kind of commitment to marriage. We were just holding steady the best way we knew with the Lord, raising our sons, know. And but God in his mercy and grace, just step by step by step by step, marriage is a process.
Yeah.
It's a process. It's a growing process, just like our process is with the Lord.
And when you first were married, Carl was not a believer.
No.
So it took you a while to discover, probably, the kind of role that a husband should have according to the scripture, anyway.
Yeah, and I don't believe I knew that until real late in our marriage. We'd been married a long time before I realized what the role is. But I wouldn't say I wasn't born again, but I believed. I knew there was a God.
Yeah.
I believed in him. I knew that I could depend on him to get things done, or that he would show me how to get things done. So I always depended on him, but as far as being born again, no, I wasn't. Until later in life. But I just, Bob, from my heart, thought, I'm in this till death do us part. And I'm going to make it work if it kills me. A lot of it is just pure, what do you want? I feel like we determine our lives. What do we want? Do we want to be married? Do you want your kids to always have a mother and a father figure before them?
Yeah.
And yes, I want that. And has there been hard times? Oh yeah. Will there be hard times down the road? Probably.
There's still a dumb jerky devil.
Because there's a devil out there. And it doesn't matter if you've been married 1 year, 6 months, 1 year. almost 61 years, he does not want you together
Yeah.
because there's power in the unity
Yeah.
that you have together. Because
Well-
one can make 1,000 flee, two can make
Sure.
10,000 flee.
Yeah.
So he doesn't want you together because you are a powerful team against him.
How have you handled those turbulent
Well,
times?
when,
What has that looked like?
He got born again. He had had some men witnessing to him at work, where he worked when we lived in North Carolina. And our middle son, who was our baby at the time, he was 9 months old, got hit with what turned out to be a very strong virus. He was one of the first ones in our area that got hit with it. And so they didn't realize, I had him to the doctor because he was vomiting, and, and was doing what they said to do, but the next morning he wasn't any better, so they had me take him to the emergency room and they admitted him to the hospital. And they started an IV, but it blew out. It was a situation. Anyway, in the process of that, our babies, we were both there, and they had him in a room next to the room we were in, where the crib was for him there in the hospital. But it was a room that they were working with him on, and his heart quit beating, and he quit breathing, and we could hear what they were saying in the next room. And the presence of the Lord came down so strong, and here we were in a denominational church at that time that did not believe in healing. And he told the Lord, he said, and this is not a scriptural prayer, but that's all he knew. If you've come for somebody, take me, don't take my baby. I give you my life. You can do anything with it you want. And so from that time on, he had received Jesus. But see, we knew the presence of the Lord. And in just a few minutes, they came out and said, your baby's going to be fine. He's responding. He's going to be fine. But it set us then on a path that was a little bit different than what our denominational church was teaching, because we had experienced a life and death situation, and our baby had come out on top of that situation victoriously. And so eventually that led us to being spirit-filled and, and ready to go when he called us to move to Tulsa for him to go to school there. But when you have that sense of the presence of God like that and what God has done, you always have that to draw on. But God did this, and that was one of the things that we pulled on in our marriage relationship, was the presence that we had sensed there and what God had done for us in that. And so somewhere in both of us, we knew if we can just hear from God on this. That was before the Lord spoke to me after we moved to Tulsa. Then God's going to work this out for us somehow.
Mm-hmm.
The key thing is, but God.
Yes.
Yeah.
But God.
Yes.
And-
Not us, but
and
God.
then, and the lesson you can learn out of that is God will meet you wherever you're at
Yes.
if you will meet God and allow Him to meet you and operate in your life. And when I determined that, and I'm still learning, I'm still listening to
Me too.
some things and recordings and YouTube and whatever, watching people. But I also understand, and one of the things that most people need to understand is you need to let God be real to you. And you need to be who you are in God, who God's created you to be. And if I allow Linda to be who God's created her
Yes.
to be,
And I allow him
what-
to be who God created
yeah,
him
and
to
what,
be.
what she's been created to be. Linda is a teacher. She's line upon line, precept upon precept, black and white. I'm, okay, God, let's have an adventure here, whatever this adventure may be. I know that it's going to be all right.
Yeah.
No matter what, You're going to take care of me. You love me. I love you. You're going to take care of me.
And he's big enough to take the two and make them one.
Mm,
Yes.
excellent. Well, we're going to pick this up in our next episode, but this
Okay.
is a great start, and I really appreciate some of what you're sharing. And so thank you, friends, for joining us for Moments with Mom and Dad. We're going to come back again with Carl and Linda on our next episode. So stay tuned, and God bless.